While there seems to be a tug-of-war within the ANC, some senior members are calling for President Jacob Zuma to step down, while others continue to defend him. Our political reporter Thulasizwe Simelane joins me in studio to unpack this matter a little bit further. Thulas, this tug-of-war that has been existing, we've seen it come out publicly. What have been the more notable statements from members within the ANC in support of the president?
Well, Kathy, for a while it seemed like the voice that is saying President Jacob Zuma has violated the constitution and should do the honorable thing and resign. If he doesn't, he should be recalled. For a while it seemed like that voice was the one that was dominating. I mean, for about a week you had such structures as the Sefako Makgato branch of the ANC in Johannesburg, of course one of more than 4,200 branches of the ANC, but a branch nonetheless writing officially, making it an official agenda item with the ANC. You had the Lilies Leaf Farm branch of the ANC in Johannesburg also discussing this, and the overwhelming sentiment at that branch meeting being that President Zuma should step down. But it seems now that those who believe that President Zuma should continue to lead the ANC and lead the country are now fighting back. You are hearing a sentiment that says basically these calls for President Zuma's resignation are driven by an agenda that not all of us are aware of. That seems to be the main thrust of the argument, that there seems to be this regime change narrative that is taking shape, and people calling it a coup, some kind of a coup that is being staged. You heard sentiments being expressed by Malusi Gigaba in Cape Town. But just yesterday, I had a discussion with ANC NEC member and head of campaigns in the party, Nomvula Mokonyane. She summed up the feelings of those who believe President Zuma should remain in the party. Take a listen to this.
Zuma is not going anywhere. 2017, we've got a national conference. 2019, we've got the general elections. The urgency now is to win the Western Cape. I would love the energy and the resources that some people have, that they must go to the Western Cape and Cape Town, and we win that. I would love to see the energy that others have, that it must then go to Kofi Mvaba, to Chris Hani district, and everywhere. If you love the ANC, you humble yourself.
When it comes to the conversations that are taking place within the ANC about this, the Secretary General had said that they'll allow branches to debate this matter. How much room has been created for that debate, and to what extent will it get to the headquarters?
Well, the explanation from Kwede Mantashe on that night when they had that media briefing was that members of the National Executive Committee are going to go to various regions and various branches to hear them out and hear, basically to present the case, to say we as leadership have met and we've discussed the outcomes of the Constitutional Court case about the implementation or non-implementation of the Public Protector's report. And this is the conclusion we've come to, that basically their position was to accept President Jacob Zuma's apology and say that it shows his humility, and say that, you know, it's not in the interest of the ANC for them to have him resign or recalled, because this would cause a fracture within the movement, and present that case to the branches. And he emphasized that the branches will not be given a line of march and told you simply have to accept this. They are free to debate it as robustly as they want. So this is the process that many branches are looking forward to, especially here in Gauteng. I mean, I spoke to a member of the Regional Executive Committee in Sibuke, in the Val, for example, who was saying that they're not going to go the way of the Sefako Makgato branch and pronounce and say, you know, President Zuma should resign, but they'd rather engage at that level with the national leadership. And you also have, of course, the position taken by the Johannesburg region as led by Mayor Parkstow that says, well, they're seeking a meeting with the Provincial Executive Committee, which is meeting today over the Concord matter, and that's where they're going to present their issues.
Some of the sentiment that we've seen expressed outside the ANC, well, not outside the ANC, but outside the structures of the ANC by former veterans, by struggle stalwarts, that have kind of also added to this growing call for the president to resign, have been received as adding to the allegations of staging a coup, have been seen to, COSATU last week confirming that they view these calls as an attack on the alliance, and they're now closing ranks within the ANC. Are we seeing that also being publicly expressed for those who support the president?
Indeed, you are starting to see that. But spare a thought for people such as Gwede Mantashe and President Zimande and Jeff Radebe, who sit in both the leadership of the South African Communist Party and the leadership of the ANC, because wearing one hat in the SACP, they are saying that the apology is not enough. It's a good start for President Jacob Zuma to acknowledge that he was wrong and for him to apologize, but it's simply not enough. More action is expected. But when they wear their ANC hats, they have to defend that, well, we've accepted the apology and that's that, we've dealt with this issue. But I mean, there's been a response, of course, from the side that is saying President Zuma should not resign. Take a listen to what Nomvula Mokonyane said, specifically about people such as Cheryl Carollas, Trevor Manuel, and others who have called for the president to resign.
Some of the people who are speaking, we have lost the Western Cape when they were still there. We lost the Western Cape when Cheryl Carollas was the Deputy Secretary General of the ANC. We have lost the Western Cape when Trevor was an NEC member and an NWC member. We have lost the Western Cape when Ronnie Castrels was the NEC member. Let them not do these kind of things. Comrade Frank Chikane, with due respect, was an NEC member and a Director General. He must actually respect the National Executive Committee as we have respected them.
Certainly interesting views there. To what extent is this being seen as just people towing the party line and protecting their jobs, as has been the sentiment, especially if you're on social media?
Well, in politics, it's very hard to know, Kathy, because, you know, people could say one thing in public and actually hold completely different views in public. And I suspect we are seeing quite a lot of that. As I said earlier on, that if you were to ask yourself, how do people such as Gwede Mantashe, for example, reconcile the two completely opposing views? The view that says the apology is enough, let's move on, let the president abide by the public protector's report and the constitutional court ruling and pay back the money, and we move on from this. He doesn't have to resign, against a position that says, well, you know, more action is required. I mean, you even heard the very strong sentiments expressed yesterday by President Zimande at the commemoration of Chris Hani's assassination in April 1993. He had really strong words there and said, we as the SACP actually stand by the position taken by the Politburo of the SACP about a week and a half ago. That is the position that said the apology is all well and good, but it's simply not enough. More needs to be done.
Thulas, very briefly, I'm going to let you go now, but overnight we had all of this anticipation building up to the letter by former President Mbeki this morning on the Nkandla matter, and of course the subsequent Court judgment. The reaction this morning, have you had a read?
Well, I've had a read, Kathy. It was a bit like waiting for that briefing by President Zuma on the 1st of April. You remember the anticipation and the kind of speculation, what is he going to say? And, you know, former President Mbeki even went as far as to give us a snippet last night of what's going to be contained in the letter today. So now, after the letter, there's, you know, people are now reflecting on it. A number of people feel disappointed. They feel like he did not go far enough. He simply repeated what the Constitutional Court said and also reminded everyone of their constitutional responsibilities, the president, the political party that deploys the president, to make sure that the person they deploy understands their role, the role of the president in a constitutional democracy, the role of parliament, the public protector, the judiciary, and all of us as South Africans, but really did not take it to the point of spelling out what is to be done. And I think that's where the disappointment is coming from some quarters, whereas some are saying, well, this is a letter for the critical thinker. It's left to you to read between the lines.
Well, I do tell you, you need a dictionary, a thesaurus, and all sorts to get through one of those letters. Our political reporter, Thulasizwe Simelane, in studio with me. Short break, more news when we continue. Stay with us.